And welcome to another edition of DT Live. For those of you that are already hanging out in the chat, give me a yay or a nay on the audio. Hopefully you guys can hear everything. I haven't done a live stream in forever. Not one of these kinds of Q&A live streams. So you guys know I prefer pre-recorded content. That's typically what I do. It's what I like to do. But I haven't done a live stream in a while, and I needed to get one in. Plus, I don't think I'm going to be able to make any content tomorrow, and I was tied up all day today. So it was going to be like 3-4 days without a video. So it just made sense. You know what? I'm free this evening. Just sit down for a couple of hours and let's get a live stream in. Let's get some good questions from you guys. Hopefully you guys come with some hard-hitting questions and not the usual stuff that you guys come with. I already know I'm going to get, crazy stuff about my hair and things like that. Remember, guys, DT is not bald. DT has never in his life been bald, and at this point I think it's safe to say I never will be bald, because if I haven't started balding by now, it's not happening. So I am blessed with a full head of hair. I just cut it and shave it. All right, let me get to the chat here. Some of you guys were here very early. I did try to give you guys a bit of a heads up. Yeah, I kind of figured a lot of the chat early in the stream would revolve around the passing of Eddie Van Halen. A few of you guys have mentioned that. Yeah. And he was a young guy too. He was only 65. So that's, very young these days to pass away. But he was battling cancer. But yeah, I love Van Halen. I like the old Van Halen with David Lee Roth. I mean, he was amazing, Well, once they got rid of David Lee Roth and went with Sammy Hagar, I mean, that version of Van Halen was good too, but I don't care. Sammy Hagar, he's got a great voice. He's a good singer, but he ain't no David Lee Roth. I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there. Best Van Halen song ever, I'm going to say Panama. It's just a fun rock tune, right? It's just a feel-good song. So back to the chat here. I've got a couple of super chats I got to get to. Some folks are wanting me to grow my hair out. Why? So you can see how much gray hair I would probably have. That's why I never grow my hair out. I've been shaving my head since I was about 25, 26 years old. I was in graduate school, in college at the time. I was probably more like 23 years old when I first started cutting my own hair and then shaving my head, just to save on haircuts. But I don't know what my hair would look like. But I'm assuming there would be a lot of gray in it these days, because I shave my head. People think I'm younger than I am. If I let it grow out, it could really make me age a little bit. So I don't think I'm going to grow my hair out. If somebody puts a super chat out there big enough, I'll consider it, but it would have to be, a serious super chat. $5 is not going to get the hair. Audio is good. Okay, appreciate you guys with that. All right, so let's get to the super chats. Bread Moth. Yeah, let me show the super chats here on screen if I can. Give me just a second, guys. I actually did not have this set up before I started the stream, but I do want you guys to be able to read along with some of the chats, so I will set this up. All right, so you guys are getting at least the live chat also on screen, just in case you're not previewing it while watching it on YouTube. All right, the super chats I needed to get to were... I hope I can find them now. Did I lose them? Bread Moth. He said, the chat has reached a consensus, grow out your hair. Also, favorite Van Halen song. Okay, so we got to both of those already. I appreciate the super chat there. All right. Ben Clayton also sent a super chat. I appreciate that, Ben. He says, Derek, do you have any books you'd recommend? You're thinking about Linux, Unix, sysadmin stuff specifically. So I am not a sysadmin by trade. I don't actually work with computers. I've never had a job dealing with Linux or computers or networking or any of that stuff. That's not me. I'm just a normal desktop computer user. I know I do some nerdy stuff, but I'm not in that profession. So I wouldn't want to steer you in the wrong direction on those topics, especially if you're looking to get into that field of study. As far as, just some basic Linux books, I have a book here. I don't have it handy. The Command Line Bible is a good one. It basically covers all of your standard GNU core utils and the basics of bash and bash scripting. That's a great one to get into. Historical books, even though it has nothing to do with sysadmin, but historically speaking, I think everyone that is serious about Linux and free and open source software should read Eric Raymond's The Bazaar and the Cathedral, or The Cathedral and the Bazaar is actually the title. I got that backwards. I think everybody should read Free as in Freedom, which is a book not written by Richard Stallman, but is a book written about Richard Stallman with his permission. And it covers the early days of Richard Stallman, the free software movement, GNU, and of course, eventually the birth of GNU/Linux. So those are two good books for just the history of everything. All right. I know I missed a lot of the standard chat going on. I do apologize. We got a lot of you guys hanging out in the chat. I know I don't do these live streams that often, so when I do them, sometimes we get a big crowd, and because of the crowds, sometimes it does make it a little hard to keep up with the chat, unfortunately. One of the great things when I first started my YouTube channel, and you can't really do live streaming until you have like 1,000 subscribers or something. At least I think that was the case. And when I could finally do my first live stream, I remember, we didn't get that many people. Maybe we got a couple of dozen people hanging out, on the live stream. And that was great because there were so few people. You could actually have a conversation with those people. Obviously we can't do that now, unfortunately. And of course it gets really crazy when you see like Linus Tech Tips, guys like that try to do a live stream and you have tens of thousands of people in the chat. It's almost pointless to have a chat at that point because nobody's reading it at that point. Hey DT, have you ever tried the Atom text editor? I have. I've installed it and I launched it one time and it took about 15 seconds for it to finally launch, and then I decided I didn't need to spend any more time with it. It's an Electron app. Other than that, I don't know. I don't know why I would use Atom. Why would I use Atom over Vim or Emacs? Like, you got to tell me why I would do that. There's got to be some. What does Atom have that Emacs doesn't have? I'll just throw that out there. And if you can give me a single thing that Atom has that Emacs doesn't have, other than a bunch of JavaScript, please share it with the world. Yeah, repeat after me. DT is not bald. I appreciate you guys catching on to that. And please let all your friends and family know, because I don't think enough of them know. It's just one of those things. I get questions about my bald head all the time. I'm like, no, I'm not bald. Yeah, and somebody mentioned the Linux Pocket Guide for a book. Yeah, that's a great recommendation. I don't have any Linuxy books handy. Used to, I had a bookshelf right here a few months back. I've rearranged some stuff in this room to put more equipment and stuff for actually recording. So I don't actually have any of my books handy. So as far as Linux books, if you wanted to get off the Linux books topics, we might could talk about some of my other favorite books at some point during tonight's stream. DT, workout routine. Well, my workout routine these days, typically, well, when I started, of course, it was typically full body every day. And the more you work out, obviously, the more sets you can do, the more weight you can do. It's hard to do full body every day. So eventually you have to kind of switch it up. You got to start splitting things. And there's a lot of different splits you can do. And I change it up every now and then. I'll do the same thing for a few months, but after a while, you kind of get used to it. And then you switch up the splits a little bit. A lot of people like doing, obviously leg day, anything lower body. So a lot of times abs and legs, you just throw all that on one day, right? You don't do anything upper body. Then maybe you do upper body another day. That's a common split. A lot of people like doing chest and triceps, the back of the arm, the biggest muscle in the arm, on the same day, because chest also works your triceps. Typically the same exercises that you do for triceps and chest work both those muscles. It's all the pushing exercises. Anything that you do that's a pushing exercise, any kind of press, whether it be chest press, shoulder press, and all that, it's going to work the triceps, going to work the chest. Dips are the same way. You're pressing your body up. Same thing. Pulling exercises typically work your back and your bicep. Bicep, not in frame, but the bicep. So a lot of people will put all those exercises together. If you go online and read about workout routines and splits, everybody does something different. Ultimately, though, I do think it's a good idea to switch it up every now and then. If you've always been doing chest day and triceps all on the same day, maybe do chest and biceps for a few weeks. Switch it up. Do back and triceps. You've always done shoulders on chest day, maybe start doing shoulders on back day. All right. As far as my workout routines, though, I try to get to the gym at least 4 times a week. If I can go 5 days, that's great. And I usually spend about an hour to an hour and a half at the gym. I typically lift weights for a solid hour. And if I can do some cardio, I like doing, 20, 30 minutes of cardio. These days, I've been doing a lot more elliptical. Previously, though, I was a big runner. I liked running a lot. One thing with running, though, especially if you run all the time, I don't know if any of you guys jog, but if you jog every day, a few miles a day, you may battle some issues as far as tendinitis. At least that was my case, is occasionally I would get tendinitis. And that's very painful. It's a tendon right across the top of your foot that kind of runs diagonally across your foot, becomes inflamed. And it doesn't hurt all the time. It's not like it's just painful all the time, but anything that touches it is excruciatingly painful. Like it'll make you fall on the ground and cry as a grown man, that kind of painful. Tendinitis is just horrible. And the only way to get rid of it is, hey, quit using that tendon that you've been stressing by working it all the time, such as running. So I switched to the elliptical a little while back, a few months back, and I've really enjoyed pushing myself on that. Hey, DT, do you plan on looking at Peppermint OS 10? It's not something I had planned, no. I don't take a look at too many Linux distribution releases these days because I'm just kind of happy where I'm at. So it's not something that I find too enjoyable. Plus, is Peppermint doing anything new that they weren't doing before? It's another thing, too, is, I've obviously taken a look at almost all these distros before, right? On camera. Some of them many times on camera. So for me to go back and take a look at something, it needs to... They have to be doing something that they weren't doing in the previous version. If it looks exactly the same as the version before, using the same software and everything, But I'm not saying I won't take a look at it, but it's not something that has even entered my mind until you asked about it. And Bread Moss says, I have tinnitus. I'll trade you that for your tendinitis. So you have the ringing in your ears. Yeah. Yeah, I've been lucky on that. I take care of my ears. Obviously, as somebody that shoots a lot just for sport, go to the gun range all the time and shoot, I wear hearing protection always. Even if I go out on some land that I have or, family members, I'm going to make sure I always carry actual earmuffs. And if I'm shooting something that's extremely loud, I may even double up on the ear protection. So do plugs and then put the muffs on. Also, work environments. I have worked in some work environments where you really needed to be wearing earplugs all the time. I worked years ago, it's been many years, worked offshore on an oil rig, and there were certain sections of that rig that if you were there all day, and you get used to this just really loud noise, just the hum, just the ambient noise that was going on. But then when you finally get to your quarters and get into your room, you go into bed, and it's kind of quiet in there, your ears are still kind of ringing, and it's kind of, you realize you messed up. So yeah, take care of your ears, because it's one of those things too. Once you mess them up, it doesn't ever improve, right? It's not coming back. All right. Yeah, you have good hearing though? Okay, well that's good. Hey DT, you should make a studio tour video explaining all the audio hardware too. Okay, well I did a video the other day explaining like all the software, but yeah, I should do a video tour one day talking about all the hardware. Those of you that have been following the channel for a little while probably know most everything that I'm using. I have mentioned it, all of it, at some point on video. But maybe, yeah, making just one video where, hey, here's everything I'm currently using. Because, yeah, obviously there's a lot of equipment involved in all of this. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I should write that one down, do a hardware tour. Let's see. Yeah. What BSD operating systems have you used? I have tried, if VMs count, I've tried a lot of them. If physical hardware count, the only one I've ever installed on physical hardware just to play with, I never actually lived in it though, it's just test equipment. I've installed FreeBSD a couple of times. Years ago, PCBSD, which of course is no longer around, PCBSD eventually became TrueOS. I don't know if TrueOS is still around either. I haven't actually heard anything about TrueOS in a while. But I've played with some of the BSDs, but I can't live in them, obviously. They wouldn't be suitable for the stuff I do, right? Making video content mainly. Which is another thing I need to mention, because I actually had somebody over on Mastodon ask me this question. I didn't respond to it because this was right before I started streaming, but somebody had asked me, hey, why don't you ever check out any of the Wayland window managers? And it's like, I don't use Wayland. That's why. I don't use Wayland. I can't use Wayland and do this. And, Wayland doesn't even have the ability to capture your screen, to record your screen. And what do I do at my computer? I record videos. Right now, a lot of times I record my desktop. So, like, Wayland is not usable. I understand a lot of you guys are using it. You're not doing what I'm doing, though, right? You have some more basic needs, normal computer use. You just need your window manager to load up so you can pull up Firefox or whatever web browser you open and go to your favorite social media sites or YouTube, and that's all you need. I need a proper display server though, and right now it's X11. That's the only one. One day maybe Wayland will be okay. Right now though, it's just not. It's not possible. That's why you guys. I know that's why you guys keep asking me about it, is because you don't see any other content creators on YouTube or any other video platforms showing you guys those Wayland window managers. There's a reason they're not showing you those Wayland window managers, because it would be a pain to show you guys that. I guess I could show you guys one of these Wayland window managers in a VM, but I can't install it and actually live in it. Like all the window managers I typically show you guys are actually on physical or on my main production machine. I can log into them and hack on them. I can't do that with any of the Wayland window managers. At least I can't do that and record it and make a video about it. So, hey DT, it would be great if you did a video about your production process for videos, video editing, thumbnails. So I haven't done necessarily the process. I haven't edited a video and actually recorded the whole editing process, but I did a video a couple of months back on Kdenlive, and everything I showed you in that video, Like, that's a pretty good course on Kdenlive. It was like a 20-30 minute video. And, you know, I didn't go into any crazy advanced stuff, but I showed you some tricks with Kdenlive if you want to check that out. When it comes to video editing, you know, kind of like you guys with Wayland, I said some of you guys have pretty basic needs with your computer. When it comes to video editing, I have some pretty basic needs. I'm not doing that much. You know, I don't really have to do much. Most of like my scene transitions and, you know, all of this kind of stuff are taken care of with OBS, right? So typically in Kdenlive, most of my edits are me cutting out dead air or putting annotations, you know, text on the screen when it needs it, you know, to clarify something or correct something. Other than that, occasionally I'll add some transitions within Kdenlive, or, you know, wiping transitions or dissolve transitions, you know, where one scene kind of fades into the next. DT, why do you use Arch, by the way? I use Fedora. Okay. I use Arch because I like it, mainly for the software. That's the main reason. Like, literally anything you want, you can get it installed using Arch, like from standard repositories. We're not building it from source. I don't like building things from source. Also, being rolling release, it's going to be the latest package of that software, which is good for me doing this channel because I do review software a lot and I want it to be the latest and greatest. If I didn't do this YouTube channel, a static release distro like Fedora would be perfectly fine. I'd be happy running Fedora. All right, let's see. I know I missed a lot of the chat, guys. Sorry. Daniel asks, hey, DT, where do you get your t-shirts? The GNU shirt came from the Free Software Foundation, I believe. Or it could have... No. I think I got it from the store on the Free Software Foundation website, fsf.org. I guess I could check that. You guys, if you're interested, because you guys have seen some of the gear here. So if I go to fsf.org and go to shop, and yeah, so this is a way to donate money to the FSF. So, you know, they're making a profit obviously on this gear, but you know, the profit they're making obviously goes to the Free Software Foundation. So, and they've got some cool stuff. You guys saw me wearing the hoodie the other day, the FSF hoodie. That's a very nice hoodie here. Guess I could put it on. But this hoodie's awesome. I love it. It's thick, but not too thick. It would be comfortable, you know, for, you know, coolish weather, not cold weather. It'd be great at the gym. People at the gym ask me what the FSF is, and then I can explain to the guy on the treadmill next to me exactly what the Free Software Foundation is, what free software is. It's kind of how I talk to people in public. You know, I wear the GNU shirt or the FSF hoodie. And sometimes people do recognize some of the nerdy stuff, you know, like the GNU shirt. They know what it means. They're down with the GNU. Yeah, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, the EFF, also has a shop where you can buy gear, I think. I have donated to the EFF, so I think I'm a member of the EFF currently. I'm pretty sure I am. Yeah, really? People at the gym ask that? Cool, yeah. You'll get people in real life, like, especially if you wear, you know, some of the funny, nerdy shirts. You know, like programmers wear their little programmy shirts with computer code on it that is, something stupid. And people ask, hey, what is that? And then you can explain to them, well, this is Python and what this command is doing, Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty cool when people in real life, ask me about Linux and free software and open source software. Qtile uses Python, so no Qtile. Qtile is awesome. Matter of fact, I had somebody ask me about Qtile the other day. Somebody in public that I had never met before. True story. Now think about that. And of course, where they heard about Qtile. They saw one of my videos. Somebody that, hey, you're that guy. A college student, a girl that was in college studying, I think, computer science or computer information systems or something. She was like, oh, that's so awesome. She came, introduced herself and said, asking me about Linux distros, what should she install first? She was thinking about Manjaro, and she really was interested in window managers, and she wanted to try one and wanted to install Qtile, because she had seen all the Qtile videos. And of course, being a college student, no doubt heavy into Python, at the college level. It's one of the big things, especially now. I think Python is the most popular language as far as projects on GitHub. It's either Python or JavaScript. They're 1 and 2, though. So everybody, if you're serious about computers, I guess, has to learn Python at some point. But she was interested in running Qtile, so that was kind of cool. It's always kind of cool when you come across people in real life that have seen your videos. It's like, not friends and family members that you go watch my video, but just people, Let's see. Hey DT, I have a question about LBRY. Where does it store all the videos? On a server somewhere? So LBRY, I don't know if they use any servers or not on that, actually. Obviously, it's peer-to-peer. Anybody that runs the LBRY app is actually helping LBRY, the LBRY network, and it will actually store videos on your system. Like if I open the LBRY desktop app, not the website doesn't do any of that. But if you open the desktop app, there's a directory on your system somewhere, probably in your /videos directory. It'll create like /videos/LBRY or something. Anyway, it starts storing the videos that you watch. So if you go watch a video, it'll store it there, and you help, I guess, seed those videos to other people that maybe want to watch it on the network. Kind of how that works. Yeah, my college cares a lot about Java. Yeah, and I do talk to college students a lot, when they come up to me or even online. But again, I've never been, I didn't study computers at the college level. I don't work as a sysadmin or anything. I'm not a programmer. But it does amaze me that colleges are so big on Java and teaching people Java these days. I remember, 20 years ago, Java was a big deal. Everybody had to learn it. But is it really still the case? Is Java that useful? As far as is it really something that's going to get you a job? Yeah, I would think C or C++ would be much more useful. Yeah. And obviously, these days with so much web development, knowing things like JavaScript, we like to joke about JavaScript, but hey, maybe learn JavaScript, learn PHP, learn all of that stuff, learn how to work with databases, MySQL and MariaDB or whatever. Yeah, Java is still used a ton. Okay. Hey DT, how do you go about power management on window managers like Xmonad? I don't bother with it. So that's how I deal with it. I don't. Power management, I'm assuming you're talking about draining the power on your the battery on your laptop. I would think window managers are so much lighter, typically have so much less stuff running compared to big bloated desktop environments. And this is going to have all kinds of extra crap running. I wouldn't think that you would have a problem with battery life using a standalone window manager, though I don't think it would be something necessarily that you would have to worry about. If it does bother you or you do need to address that issue, there is a program called, is it TLP? There's a Linux program, popular Linux program, that allows you to play with some of the settings on your computer and, change the settings so that your computer doesn't drain the battery as quickly. I can't remember the program. I'm pretty sure it's called TLP. Don't know what it stands for. Let's see. How about I just look for TLP in the Arch repos? Yeah, TLP is the Linux Advanced Power Management tool. Okay, whatever. But yeah, that's it. TLP. Maybe do a video where you test battery life. I don't have a nice laptop, so all my laptops are secondhand used. They don't have, their batteries are practically dead or dying anyway. So I'd have to buy a good laptop, a real laptop, to test that kind of stuff. And then that seems like the most boring kind of thing ever to do. I'm just going to install stuff and then keep the laptop running just to see how long it drains the battery. I mean, I guess that's interesting. People, I guess, need to know about that, but that not the kind of content I'd be interested in doing. ADT. You should show Qt5CT in your next video about a window manager. So I'm assuming Peter here wants to change the Qt theming. So Qt5CT. And here it is. We'll just take care of that right now, Peter, because it's not something I need to really spend time seriously on a video. It's just, yeah, changing your appearance, your theme, in this case from Quantum Dark to Breeze or Fusion or whatever I wanted to change to. It's kind of the Qt application, it's kind of like the GTK LX Appearance app, right? This is for changing your GTK theme. It's kind of that same kind of program for Qt. But you're right, I've never shown that on camera. I never actually worry about changing my Qt themes. I don't typically install Qt programs. I almost always install GTK programs, given the option. The only Qt programs that I have installed at the moment that I just have to have, Kdenlive, but Kdenlive I don't need to theme with another program. You actually can theme Kdenlive within Kdenlive itself. So somebody asked about the Pinebook. Yeah, the Pinebook, I will say, the Pinebook has been giving me some issues. I was having a problem the other day where it wasn't typing the correct characters on the screen. It was typing uppercase when it should have been lowercase and vice versa. Hitting other keys, symbols or whatever. It wasn't the correct symbol. So I don't know if it's a problem with the key map or I don't know. I may just need to reinstall, which is kind of cool if that's the case because I don't mind trying out another ARM-based Linux distribution on the Pinebook. It came pre-installed with Manjaro ARM, but I may just need to go ahead and wipe out that installation and do a proper install. Not that the installation that it shipped with wasn't a proper install, but, something maybe I have a little more control over. Maybe do an Arch ISO install or Arch ARM install. I'm sorry, guys. I know I missed a ton of the chat. I'll try to catch up on it really quick here. ADT, I have a very important question. Do you like bread? Yes. I don't mind the carbs. I don't eat a lot of bread, but yeah, I don't mind bread. Rice, though. I love rice. I eat a lot of rice. Yeah, my point was, yeah, you always mention LX appearance, but yeah, you forget to mention the Qt 5, yeah, CT. Yeah, the reason is I never use that program. I mean, I know it's here. I can use it. I just typically don't have Qt programs installed anyways. Like I said, other than Kdenlive, but Kdenlive, I don't, Kdenlive is really interesting because you can actually theme it within itself, which is kind of neat. If I launch Kdenlive here, I'll show you guys this in action. So if I go to settings and color theme, look at all these themes inside Kdenlive. I just pick one. Right now it's on Breeze Dark, but if I wanted, I don't know, I could go to KV Gnome Dark. Yeah, whatever. Change it to that one. And if I wanted to, I could go back to Breeze Dark and change it there. Anyway, that's kind of neat. Kdenlive, the more I use it, the more I think it's a pretty cool program. It's taken about 3 years for me to really warm up to it. Yeah, any scary tech computing stories? It is October after all. Nothing too scary. Well, there was one scary story about a week ago I came across just because it happened in my state. Now, these days, everybody is doing, all this remote schooling. And the other day, I guess some grade school kid, I don't know, a little boy that was about 10, 12 years old or something, was having a virtual conference with a teacher or whatever, and they saw in his room that he had a BB gun, a pellet gun or something, against the wall, in the background. And they suspended the kid for bringing weapons to the school because he had a BB gun at his house on a video conference. Like, that was the craziest story I had ever heard. And of course, since then, they reversed that decision, and a lot of people were like, what the hell is wrong with the teacher and the principal of this school? And and it really does bring up some questions, though, when these kids are doing these virtual classes, because they're doing them at home. It's their home. They should be able to do whatever the hell they want at home. But is it really school, too? Do they have to abide by school policy? The whole shutdown thing has really become ridiculous, especially when it comes to school and college. I was telling you guys the other day, if I was a first or second year college student, I wouldn't even bother right now. I'd just take the semester off or take a year off, come back when things return to normal. ADT, a little challenge. Make a video where you try to replicate a rice on Unixporn. Yeah, but that wouldn't be much of a challenge because most people just put their dot files in the Unixporn post. They'll give me the config files for their window manager and the wallpaper and all of that, the icons. They'll tell me what GTK theme and icon set and all typically they'll tell you all that information. But it wouldn't be difficult at all to replicate anything you find on Unixporn. Yeah, Breadmaw, people today are much too sensitive and politically correct. Yeah, I don't even know why the teacher and the principal of that school acted the way they did about, especially if it was in other places. Maybe this was a school in Louisiana. Like, everybody grows up hunting and shooting, right? Everybody, they're like, just seeing people walk around with a gun is not an uncommon occurrence. So it was weird, that kind of overreaction and it ain't even a real gun, right? It's just a BB gun. Yeah, what's funny is that universities still charge full tuition, even though their classes are online. Talk about a ripoff. Yeah, that's part of the reason why, if I was a college student, I would seriously consider not bother, because you're paying all that money, especially once you get more advanced, as far as once you in junior or senior year, you expect to be working with professors in the field you're trying to eventually get a job in, and have more one-on-one interaction. And especially by that time, 80% of the people that started with you in your freshman year have dropped out. It's one of those things about college. There's like 10 times the amount of freshmen as there are seniors. And it's crazy how many people you lose from freshman year to sophomore year in college. I remember going to school for my music degree. And, for music, the most difficult subject that people get into is music theory. Everybody has to study it for a music degree. Music theory is pretty difficult stuff. It really requires kind of a mathematical kind of mind to figure out a lot of that stuff. And we started with, I think, 67 music majors in first year music theory. So 67 freshmen. Second year music theory had 10 or 12 or something like that. We went from 60 something to about 12 from first year to second year. So yeah, a lot of people enroll in college that really shouldn't have bothered to begin with. I think a lot of people just barely graduate high school, and most colleges will take you unless you were just a complete idiot in high school. They'll take your money. You can go pay tuition and enroll, but you're not going to make it. Unfortunately, I think there's not enough people telling some of those people, hey, don't bother. You're just wasting time and money when you could go learn a trade, get a job. Chances are college age students typically are already working somewhere anyway. Hey, keep working on what you're doing. Maybe try to advance in whatever job you're currently working. Let's see. Hey, DT, what is your experience with video hardware acceleration? Since I have installed Arch, I noticed that YouTube takes a lot of CPU compared to Windows. What browser are you using? If you're using Firefox, I haven't noticed Firefox being an issue with me lately. I remember a couple of years back, video acceleration in Firefox wasn't the best. But they did have an extension, a plugin that you could install to fix that. I think it was... I don't know the name. Somebody in the chat will know the name of that Firefox extension, though, because it was very popular. Everybody installed it to fix that hardware, that video acceleration issue in Firefox. I don't watch a ton of video, though, on my computer, and it's not like it's a TV. Like, if it's not quite perfect, it doesn't bother me, so... Hey DT, what are your thoughts about people trying to make tiling window managers more mainstream? I think people can do whatever they want, for one thing. But I do think, the point of a tiling window manager typically is extreme customization, extreme flexibility, especially the ones that are completely configured in the programming language they're written in, such as DWM and C, Nextmonad and Haskell, Qtile and Python. And how are you going to make that more mainstream? And for people to get the most out of those window managers, they're going to have to learn C or Haskell or Python or Lua with Awesome. You're just going to have to eventually get into those kinds of advanced subjects like programming and scripting. So it's never going to be for your grandmother. You can't make it that way. Well, you can make it that way. You just take away the ability to customize anything. You just completely get rid of the fact that you can configure it in the programming language it's in, give it some dumbed down syntax. Even better, it's so dumbed down that you can even make a GUI config program utility for it. And then at that point, why would anybody seriously want to use it? At that point, you're basically using things like GNOME and KDE. At that point, just go use those. Let me take this hoodie off. A little too warm in here for a hoodie. But anyway, that was the Free Software Foundation hoodie. Everybody go to the FSF store and get your hoodie. All right. Hey DT, if you only use your phone for phone calls, why are you spending $1K on one instead of a cheap one? Because it's still, I mentioned I buy the good phone because it doesn't, they never break. The Samsungs, they never break. Just because I use it for phone calls still doesn't, I mean, I still want it to work. I mean, that's the reason when they break, it's such a devastating thing, is because I can't actually make or receive phone calls on it. It's not the extra crap on it. Yeah, so. All right. Catch up on the chat here. Yeah, so someone in the chat here. I'm doing a bachelor's degree in Malaysia. I have 1 semester left. Full regret, total loss of time and money. Yeah, a lot of people do that, though. A lot of people, even before they graduate, know they're never going to use the degree they're getting. I saw this firsthand. When I graduated, I fully expected to do something with music, you know, become a teacher or something. I did some teaching a little bit, but never really seriously. And at this point, I'm not really interested in that career field. But I knew people that were in their 3rd, 4th year of a 4 or 5 year degree. You know, they still had a year and a half left. And they knew they were never going to use the degree they were completing, but they had done gotten to the point they were so far along. Yeah, they just finish it, and then they go figure out what they're going to do after that. But yeah, then I won't say you wasted all of your money, because you'll still have the degree, but if you're not going to do anything with it, I don't know. At least in my case, with a music degree, I do love music. Music's kind of a part of my life. I've played on live streams for you guys, right? And so yeah, I wouldn't say it was a total waste for me. Hey, DT, this is a super chat from RoboNuggy. Thank you, sir. Guys, make sure you go subscribe to RoboNuggy for all that BSD content that you're just not going to get from me. RoboNuggy. It's all BSD all the time. He asks, hey, DT, who shot first, Lando or Greedo? So we have Star Wars questions. Well, you guys know I prefer Star Trek over Star Wars, but I've watched all the Star Wars stuff too. I'll go Lando there. So, I lost the chat. I lost my place here. DT, will there ever be a replacement for Winamp? Yeah, what is it, XMMP or QMMP? Well, the clone that we have in Linux is perfectly fine. Actually, there's a couple of them now that I think about it. Audacious can kind of mimic Winamp. There's some skins for that as well. Yeah, we're not missing Winamp. We got better things than Winamp. And if you want something that looks exactly like Winamp, we got that too, so. ADT looking for help with Powerline with Dracula colors within LBRY. Can't find the right config file. I can't help you there either. Powerline, I'm not currently using Powerline in my Vim stuff, in Vim or NeoVim, so. But somewhere there will be a config file. I couldn't tell you right offhand where it would be, though. I would have to go read up on Powerline to see where it stores that stuff. You could probably do a search in the terminal. Just do a search for, if you know the theme that Powerline is currently using, the name of it, the default theme, search for that config file. And then when you find that config file, edit that file, or copy it and make a new theme file and name it Dracula. But surely, I bet you can find a Powerline theme for Dracula somewhere. Yeah, let me search for something here. I bet we can find something. You know what? Are you using just standard Powerline, or are you using Airline? What I always used was Airline when I wanted the Powerline effect. These days, though, I'm not even using Airline. I'm just using Lightline, I think. You know, just a simple. So if I did, I'm not in front of my keyboard here. Let me get it in front of me. I can't type. All right, there we go. Yeah, I'm just using a standard kind of status line here called Lightline. And I was able to customize this pretty well. Obviously, it doesn't have the arrows that the Powerline has. But if Powerline is giving you a lot of trouble, honestly, I'm not sure if it's worth fooling with these days. That's why I don't fool with it anymore. I used to, because I know a lot of you guys like those Powerline effects, so I put them in my VimRC. You know, when I first started doing Vim stuff on the channel, I put Powerline effects in my panel in Qtile, my panel in Awesome, you know, because people like that kind of stuff. But honestly, it does nothing for you. I mean, it just kind of looks cool, but it gives you, there's no benefits to Powerline. So, all right. DT, can you do a detailed video on customizing the bash prompt? It's like learning Cantonese backwards for me. And you know what? That we could do something like that. That's a good idea. It's not as hard as you think, though. It really isn't. I know there's some strange characters going on. Matter of fact, I don't even know. Even though I just pulled it up. Let me get back into this. And I'll zoom in here. Where's my bash prompt? That is my bash prompt right there. That's the one. That doesn't highlight it that well, but I'm doing something really simple, right? I'm not... These days, I just like simple prompts. There's my bash prompt. You guys want to see my super awesome fish prompt? Let's switch over to fish. We're not doing anything fancy these days. The fanciness, again, I'm not saying it's a complete waste of time. It can be fun to play with that stuff. But it also can be annoying because sometimes it just doesn't work out quite right, kind of like the Powerline stuff. And it's hard to get those Powerline glyphs to look good because it's dependent on so many different things. The font, whether the font is patched to include those symbols you're trying to display. The terminal, you know, how does the terminal render that font? Because it's not just Vim. You know, it's Vim has to run in a terminal. It's a terminal program. So a lot of times the problems are actually the terminal emulator that you're trying to run the thing in. Let me catch up on some super chats here. Josh from over at Keep It Techie. Thank you, sir. He has a super chat. Hey, DT, any more Gentoo videos planned for the future? I have thought about doing another like Gentoo install video because I did the updated Arch install video a few weeks back. And I actually thought about the next day, hey, maybe let's run through a Gentoo installation. I didn't do it, and I kind of forgot about it. So, yeah, I may do some more Gentoo stuff in the future. The only thing is, I will probably never run Gentoo on my main production machine, personally. I don't like building stuff from source, compiling everything. Too time consuming. I got too much other stuff to do. But I might do it in a VM just to show guys that are looking for a good installation video how to get that thing done. Yeah, so Braden Butler, thank you for the super chat. Hey DT, how do you manage application super user requests? So I'm not exactly sure what you're asking there. Are you asking about the PolicyKit programs, or it's probably what you're asking about the password authentication programs, especially if you do things like Arch or Gentoo, minimal installations that don't have that stuff built in. The programs I typically install are for the PolicyKit for the session. I install LX Session, but you can install a ton of them. And this is one of those things we really should just consult the Arch wiki. Let me pull up a browser. Because there's a lot of different ways you can go with this. But if you do a search for PolKit in the Arch wiki, and here's some of the PolicyKit programs. You have the LXQt, Qtile-PolicyKit LX session, which is the one I just used for years, so I keep using it. Mate PolKit. We have the PolKit-GNOME, PolKit-KDE agent, XFCE-PolKit. Yeah, install one of those, and that will usually take care of what you're trying to do there. Because it is strange, especially the first time you do it, if you've never installed like a minimal installation of something like Arch or Gentoo, or maybe a server installation that didn't have some of that stuff installed. And you go to try to run something that needs super user privileges on the system. Maybe you try to, I don't know, play with the firewall settings, or maybe you want to open up gparted and edit your partitions, something very dangerous on a working installation, but it's going to need a session kit running before you even get started. So Etcher, the USB writer, Etcher, my favorite USB writer, if I don't have a LX session running, it won't actually let me burn a USB stick. Matter of fact, I can show you guys that here. Well, actually, I don't have it installed. It's an app image. I'd have to go search for the app image. I haven't run it in a while. Forgot I don't actually have it installed from like the repos or anything. But if I tried to run Etcher, it wouldn't run, or the window will come up, but I can't actually select an ISO and burn a disk or anything until I start LX session, and then it'll ask me for my root password, and then all of a sudden Etcher will work just fine. Let's see. Yeah, Nate says, thanks for the reply about the Powerline. I'll check out alternatives. Yeah, check out Airline. If you really want the Powerline effect, check out Vim Airline. It's a lot easier to work with. Then Nate also asked, can I share my backup strategy? My backup strategy is mainly just my dot files, my config files. As long as I have that stuff on my GitLab, which I of course have on my GitLab, and I push updates to it every few days, that's mostly what I need. As far as backing up data, I have a Nextcloud that I can store data on, but really my backup, I don't have it handy. I have an external 1 terabyte SSD. Really, I don't have a lot of data, though. I need to back up, like documents and things like that. Music, I have on a separate drive on this computer. It's actually on its own partition, so I don't have to worry about my 120 gigs of music or whatever. I don't even touch that on a reinstall. My videos, I don't actually store my video storage is outrageous, right? I probably have made enough videos where I need at least 3 terabytes of storage to store all my videos. I don't do that on my local machine here. I put all of that in an Amazon S3 bucket, but they're all there in an S3 bucket. Not to mention my videos are also on YouTube and on LBRY, so got 3 different places. Like if one of them ever went away, if YouTube just shut down one day, all of my videos are in at least 2 other places. So. Yeah, any tip on how to get a Vim-like Powerline in Emacs, just because it looks cool? I've never done a Powerline effect in Emacs. I've never actually played with the mode line, is what it's called in Emacs. The status line is called the mode line. Never played with that in Emacs. In Emacs, trying to customize it. But if I do a search for Emacs Powerline, let's do a quick Google search. Milky Postman. I actually recognize that name. That is the M in the Melpa repository. So Emacs has 2 really big repositories of plugins, Elpa, E-L-P-A, and Melpa, M-E-L-P-A. And the M in the Melpa repository stands for Milky Postman. Anyway, there's a Powerline plugin, I guess in Melpa. I was going to see if it had a screenshot. Yeah, I mean, that's just a quick Google. Here's another one, Emacs-Powerline. There's a screenshot. Well, that might be something you check out. I don't know how hard that would be to configure. I don't know if it's just something you can install. add to your packages.el and away you go, or if it's something that you got to spend some time working on. Obviously, the thing with Emacs is some of the plugins are more involved than others. But many of them are just dead simple to get up and running. All right. Let's see. Akami channel says, hey, why did you and Luke Smith start streaming at the same time today? Well, that is weird because I never live stream, right? I never live stream, and Luke can go months without doing anything on his channel. That's weird. Yeah, both of us are live streaming at the moment. Well, if you're debating between which one to watch at the moment, you may want to go catch Luke's stream, because who knows when he'll do another one. You know, he may not put up another video for 6 months, right? You can always, catch mine on the replay, or actually it doesn't really matter which one you watch. You can watch both on the replay. Though most people don't like to go and watch a live stream after the fact. It's one of those things, I guess, mentally, it's like, man, if I wasn't there for it, I can't go back and, you can't recreate that same atmosphere as, hey, I called it live. Not to mention you can't actually put chat on a recorded video, obviously. All right, catching up on the super chat. I know I'd missed one. Let me go back here. Rainan, hope I pronounced your name correctly. Thank you for the super chat. What do you think of Linux phones plus desktop usage? So Linux phones, I've never owned one unless Android counts, but I'm assuming you're talking about a proper GNU/Linux operating system. I've never played with any of them. I'm not a phone guy. I just don't like working on these devices here. As far as any real work, it's just not. I need a keyboard, so I'm just not a phone guy, unfortunately. I know a lot of you guys want content about installing alternative operating systems, rooting your phone, and doing that. I'm not into that. There's no point in me even playing with that stuff because I don't even like using my phone. So it doesn't matter the operating system I put on it. I'm not going to use my phone except to make a phone call or maybe to text. Let's see. Yeah, DT has higher stream quality. We are doing 1080p, I think, for the stream. I think I'm doing 1080, 60 frames per second. Hopefully it's turning out all right. I do notice the network here today is really good. Like, it's been a solid green inside OBS. OBS has this system where it'll give you green, yellow, or red, depending on the networking. And it's been nothing but green since I started this. So there shouldn't be any buffering at all. If you guys have any issues with buffering, it's probably not on my end today. Unfortunately, it'll probably be on your end, or it could just be YouTube servers. Sometimes they just kind of crap out. Somebody was asking me about Lux encryption. What are my thoughts on it? I don't typically use encryption. I don't like encrypting my drives. I know some people have asked me, hey, could you do a video about encrypting your drives? And I guess I could do a video about it. I don't ever do this on my machines. I just worry about losing the keys, right? When you encrypt something, if you ever lose the key, well, you're kind of screwed. I ran into this situation when I had to distro hop a couple of months back. I distro hopped on my main production machine, did a reinstall, just a fresh install really of Arco. I was running Arco before, ended up back on Arco. And I used the password manager, the standard Unix password manager pass. And of course that uses GPG encryption, to store all those passwords, save all those passwords. And I did not back up the keys for all that when I reinstalled. So I messed up in a big way. So Talking about backup strategy, somebody had asked me my thoughts on a backup strategy. Definitely make sure if you use anything with encryption, go grab those keys. Make sure you have those backed up. Otherwise, you're in for a bad day. Because it is not fun when you know you've got something encrypted and you're never going to be able to open that file. Hey DT, what Firefox extensions do you use? I'm not a big extension guy. I don't play with extension. I can use Firefox out of the box, but because I do this YouTube channel, I do have uBlock Origin installed, and that is simply because sometimes I show news articles or whatever in a video, and I don't want to be bombarded with ads, especially animated ads, multimedia ads. So other than that, you know, I'll turn the ad blocker off and actually look at the ads, because I think people that put ads on a website, news articles, videos, they deserve, you know, to make what they're trying to make on those ads. I don't blame them for having ads on their websites. I know some people, no website at all should have ads. Well, hey, it's helping pay, you know, those people that are writing whatever it is you're reading on that news site or whatever. They're just trying to make a buck. But I do have uBlock Origin. Let's see what else I have. I have HTTPS Everywhere installed. And I have Privacy Badger. That's it. That's the only 3 extensions I have installed. I forgot I had opened this. It was starting to get warm. For those of you wondering, this is Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. Haven't had one in a long time. It's kind of a hoppy beer. But, you know, the weather's starting to turn cooler. So it was time to change it up. Speaking of weather, you guys know the situation that happened with me late August with Hurricane Laura, which pretty much devastated the whole state of Louisiana. And I was out of power for nearly a week, and it was just a bad situation. It was a bad storm. Still a lot of damage from that storm. Still people have not recovered from that. And we've got another one coming. It's still a ways away, but I'm just going to go ahead and start giving people a heads up because, you know, in about 3-4 days, I don't know, it'll be here. So this thing, Hurricane Delta, 145 mile per hour winds at the moment. So what's a Cat 5? Like 156 or something? Yeah, so it's a very strong storm. Hurricane Laura actually came ashore. I think it was pushing 150 mile an hour winds. Now, thankfully, I guess the Gulf Coast is a little cooler. The water temperature is a little cooler. It's very warm down in the Caribbean. But once it starts getting closer, it should weaken. At least down to a Cat 3, hopefully down to a Cat 2. So it's not going to be as nearly as powerful as Laura once it comes ashore, I don't think, but we'll see. But I don't like this track, right? This track is bad. It's definitely going to hit me if it... And we'll see how that goes. It's just a crazy year. Like 2020... I mean, of course, we've had a lot of hurricanes, but there's so much U.S. coast that could get hit by a hurricane because you've got the entire Atlantic coast plus everything on the Gulf Coast. And all these hurricanes making landfall, like 4 or 5 of them have hit Louisiana this year. It's like, what the hell? It's unusual to see so many storms kind of taking that same track. But man, that was seriously one of the worst weeks of my life with going without power. And it was not just me, it was like literally everybody for hours in either direction out of power. And it was a rough situation. Just out of everything. Gas stations were out of gas. Of course, they had no power, so you couldn't really buy anything anyway. Unless you were, I guess you had to use cash. Couldn't find eyes. couldn't find water until the National Guard showed up to start giving people water. And it was very hot. I mean, that was late August. It gets typically upper 90s into the 100s as far as Fahrenheit temperature. It's the hottest month of the year. If I lose power this time around, at least the weather, as far as the temperature, it'll be comfortable. All right. I'm sorry, guys. I know I miss a whole bunch of chat showing you guys the weather situation. Let me see if I can catch up on that. Yeah, I love the GNU t-shirt. Appreciate that, Adam. Let's see. ADT, can you do a video on Emacs and Reveal.js? I don't know what Reveal.js is. Should I know what that is? Let's look it up. I mean, there are, when I do a search, it shows some org mode extensions. I don't know if that's really what you're after there. What the hell is Reveal.js? And let me just Google Reveal.js. Okay, I found something here. Reveal.js is an open source HTML presentation framework. It's a tool that enables anyone with a web browser to create fully featured and beautiful presentations for free. So is it like a slideshow kind of thing? Is it like a presentation office kind of program, but written in JavaScript? I don't know what this is. I'd have to read up on it. As far as would I make a video on it, I don't know. Probably not. If I'm just going to be honest, probably not. I don't know what I would use it for. I don't know. Maybe I should search for other people that have made videos about this Reveal.js thing and actually do some research on it. But yeah, that one, I'm sorry, I just don't know anything about it offhand. I'll have to read up on that and see what it's all about. Let's see. Somebody is mentioning about stripped down Firefox or a fully ungoogled Chromium. Yeah, if you want to, yeah, you're worried about privacy especially, and you have to use a Chrome-based browser, yeah, ungoogled Chromium, the way to go. Brave is another good one. I do like Brave. Yeah, it's not bad. It's Chromium-based, but I wish there were more Firefox-based browsers out there. Fortunately, I guess the Mozilla folks just don't make it that easy for people to base off of Firefox the way, obviously, Chromium. Everybody and their grandmother has a Chromium-based web browser. Hey DT, have you used FFmpeg? Every single day I've ever used Linux, I have used FFmpeg. Literally, there's almost nothing on your computer that uses audio or video that doesn't use FFmpeg, so that's a strange question. OBS, which I'm recording in right now, well, most of the stuff in it, it's just a front end to FFmpeg. Kdenlive, a lot of the video editing and the audio editing that you can do inside Kdenlive, it's really just kind of a front end to functions in FFmpeg. Same thing with Audacity. The same thing with all your audio players and your video players and browser plugins that are doing multimedia stuff. Yeah, FFmpeg is probably one of the most important pieces of software that's part of your GNU/Linux operating system. Unfortunately, it's kind of under the hood and nobody ever sees it. So many people don't realize just how incredibly important FFmpeg is. Which, as we get nearer to the end of the year and a lot of software projects start asking for donations to help support, funding, development of their product, FFmpeg is one that they'll ask for donations on their website. That's one that literally anybody that uses GNU/Linux on the desktop, yeah, you are heavily relying upon FFmpeg for a ton of things. It might be worth donating a few bucks to the FFmpeg development team. Do you ever see yourself going back to a conventional desktop? Oh, no. I haven't used a conventional desktop since like 2008, 2009. Yeah, so it's not like something I did 2 months ago. No, I'm not. I can never go back to a standard desktop environment because it doesn't give me what I want. As far as I want to be able to do exactly what I want to be able to do. A desktop environment just doesn't offer that. And I can't compromise on that. So. Yeah, and somebody mentioned, hey, DT, I wish there was some good Linux WebKit-based web browsers. Yeah, I do too. I have the Surf browser installed. I have a build of Surf that I keep around, and yeah, it's slow. It's just not something I could use as my daily driver as far as a web browser. And I've kept it around forever, and I'll occasionally play with Surf, but it's just not good. So. And Pine Taco says, Vivaldi is proprietary garbage. Yeah, I agree. Why are people still using it? I don't know. So, I can't help you with that. Not everybody cares about free software or open source software, though. Not that many people are actually interested in it. Zachary asked, DT, did you see the post today on your subreddit about you following Stefan Molyneux on LBRY? Do you have any comments? I've never actually watched any of his videos. I was subscribed to a bunch of different people on LBRY. People I've never watched. For the video I made the other day, I just realized I wasn't following too many people. I knew Stefan was a big name on YouTube. I think he had like 1 million subscribers on YouTube and was banned from YouTube and then went to LBRY. So I saw he had a LBRY channel and subscribed to him. I can't comment on his content at all. I seriously have never watched a single video of the guy, so I'm sorry. So I don't even know what kind of content he makes. Considering he's a popular channel, though, I would imagine it's probably political in some way. That's the kind of stuff that, obviously because it becomes controversial, it tends to get people viewing your content and watching your content, subscribing to your content. So I'm not interested in politics if that's what it's about, though. Hey, DT, what are your thoughts on suckless philosophy? Well, I've given my thoughts on this in the past, but I will just say, the whole suckless philosophy the suckless philosophy tells people, and they say this on their site, everything should be written in either POSIX compliant shell scripting, if it's something very tiny, or should be written in C. And that's the only two languages you should use to do any kind of programming. Shell scripting or C. Really? So I just say, there's hundreds of programming languages out there. Some of them are more appropriate for some things than others. So, and Dennis Hallman's in the chat. How you doing, Dennis? Saw you were live. Thought I'd wish you the best of luck. You need anything? Holler. Appreciate that, Dennis. I know Dennis. You guys are not subscribed to him. Check him out. He's got some Linux content. He's got a great channel. Dennis was had to struggle a little bit recently because of Hurricane Sally that hit a little to the east of me over in his neck of the woods. So hopefully things are looking up, Dennis. Let's see. Panacea says, DT is subscribed to me on LBRY. I have 0 videos. Was I subscribed? That's another thing. Why I just went through a list and just randomly subscribed to some names. If I was subscribed to people that had 0 videos, I don't know why. But what I ended up doing is after I made my LBRY video the other day, people did ask me, and not just the person that asked the Stefan Molyneux question, hey, why are you subscribed to this guy? Why are you're subscribed to some crypto channels? Do you watch any of them? No, I don't care about cryptocurrency at all as far as the technology behind it. So yeah, I went back and looked at the list of just people I just clicked subscribe to just for that video, just so I'd have a big list of, mainly just to show you guys some of the people on the platform. That's the only reason I was subscribed to them. But then I didn't realize I was going to get questions about, oh, you're subscribed to this guy and that guy. What do you think of, And then I got to tell you, well, I'm not really watching any of their content. So afterwards, I went back and I was like, let me actually subscribe, not just to names I recognize, but, stuff I would watch. If I go back to the browser and pull up LBRY TV, these are the people. I think I'm subscribed to every single one of these people on YouTube, and they also have a LBRY account, so I subscribe to them. Except for LBRY.social and Learn LBRY, I think you're automatically subscribed to them when you join LBRY. But everybody else, the usual suspects as far as people that do Linux and tech-related content on YouTube, a lot of them are over on LBRY. And then I cleaned out all of the stuff that I didn't even watch. When I went back, I pulled up a list of like some of the biggest channels on LBRY. So I subscribed to them because I thought you guys might recognize some of their names. And like 8 or 10 of them were about cryptocurrency. People were like, man, DT, I didn't know you were into crypto. You've never done any videos on about, it's like, yeah, because I don't really watch any of that stuff. Let's see, the Pacman widget just displays available updates. Yeah, people had mentioned that the Qtile Pacman widget no longer works. I haven't logged into Qtile in a couple of weeks. I'll see if it's working on my end, but you can always create your own widget that can give you the updates as far as Pacman. It wouldn't be that difficult to just make your own simple script to get that output. This many updates are available currently. So. And if it's something I need to do, I'll do it on my Qtile, and I'll share it with you guys in case you guys need it. Yeah, the suckless philosophy is just for extremists. Well, I don't know if it's an extreme philosophy. I just think it's strange. I think the lines of code limit that they try to maintain, too, is very strange, because lines of code mean nothing. Literally every program can be written as one line of code if you just don't create new lines, right? So you can't measure lines of code because they don't mean anything. Let's see. Hey, DT, what do you think about schools using spyware and closed source software? Yeah, I've mentioned my thoughts on videos about that here recently. The last edition of Unfettered Freedom. What did we talk about? Respondus. And about, I'd say 3-4 months back, I did a video specifically about ProctorU. So go check that out. Yeah, Haskell is the best programming language for a window manager. I don't disagree. Even though I haven't done much with Haskell lately, I haven't just been, tinkering with Haskell or writing anything in Haskell. When I do get into that mindset where, hey, I'm going to go learn something about Haskell and find some new Xmonad modules to play with, yeah, it is really a fantastic programming language. One worth learning, I think. I think a lot of people, I don't want to learn Haskell because what am I going to use it for in real life? Well, you just learn it. I mean, the concepts are, it's never a waste of time learning any programming language. There's going to be things that translate into the next programming language that you learn. Like some of the concepts you learn from Haskell will apply in some other languages as well. Hey DT, thanks for your vids. I was looking, I missed it. Something about DWM, and I inspired you to try it out. Ah, cool. Yeah, DWM is great. Yeah. I haven't logged into my DWM session in a while either. I should check that out, make sure it's still doing okay. Probably need to update my build of DWM because they probably have had a release of DWM since the last time I patched the thing. DT, do you think OpenRC is a better alternative to systemd? I don't know. No thoughts on that. I don't really care about the init systems. Once if the computer boots up, fine. I will say OpenRC, though, I have noticed that distributions that use OpenRC typically take a lot longer to boot up than other systems. That's just been my experience with it. But as far as really doing any kind of scripting or anything involving the init systems, I never do that, so I don't care. Again, I'm not a sysadmin. Hey DT, is there any way to make DWM look more beautiful? I think DWM looks pretty attractive out of the box. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a window manager. The frame around a window is not much to a window manager to begin with. I mean, to make a window manager look good, I mean, the big part, pick a nice wallpaper. But other than that, if you're doing a lot of terminal-based programs, play with the terminal color scheme and stuff like that, but it's not like there's anything you can do to DWM, specifically the window manager, that's going to make your desktop look good. Because that's not really what a window manager, that's not what it does. Hey DT, how would you feel about a tiling window manager based desktop? People often ask this. Desktop environment obviously includes a window manager, but it includes the window manager, the panel, the menu system, the run launcher, the program that sets the wallpaper, the network manager, the clipboard manager, your standard big bloated desktop environments. They come with hundreds of programs pre-installed. What's the point? The point of installing a window manager is so you get to pick all of the specific programs for each of those tasks. You don't want GNOME to decide to give you the full GNOME suite of software. Here, this is what you got to use. You got to use our file manager and our compositor, our panel, and all of this other crap. No. I'll pick the window manager I want to use, today Xmonad. And I'll pick the panel I want to use with Xmonad or a dock, or maybe I don't want to use a panel or a dock. Do I really need it? Some people, yes. Some people, no. I'm a panel guy. I install a panel. Maybe I need a systray. I'll tell you, I typically don't use systrays. Other people need one, so they'll install a systray. I don't need it. If I had a systray installed, it would just be bloat to me. That's the point of a window manager, is you get to install the software you actually need, and you don't install the software that you don't actually need. A desktop environment is always just going to be extra bloat. Because I promise you, there is a ton of stuff built into GNOME and Plasma and XFCE that you have never used. You don't even know it's there. It's running in the background. All these daemons are running in the background that you don't even know what they do. That'll never happen on a window manager. When you do standalone window managers, everything that's running on it, you put there. You installed it. You should know what it's doing. All right. Would you recommend Doom Emacs or VS Code with Vim key bindings? I've never used VS Code. You do know that that's a Microsoft product, right? Okay. I've never even installed VS Code. I wouldn't know what it looked like if you showed it to me. So, hey DT, what do you think about Gentoo? It's a wonderful distro with, in my opinion, the best package manager. I think Gentoo is a fine distribution. I don't like building everything from source. I don't like compiling, so that's why I don't use it. But it is a fine distribution. As far as the package manager, yes, it's a very powerful package manager. What do you think of the Trinity desktop? I think Trinity is really good, actually. Trinity is very fast, very lightweight, and it looks good. So, yeah, Trinity is not bad. Distributions that I've looked at in the past that use Trinity, Q4 OS is fantastic. It's a Debian-based distribution that uses Trinity, and it is super, super light, like 200 megs of RAM. And if you guys that need a desktop environment and are worried about something that's got all the bells and whistles and looks good, Trinity really is quite sexy. Yeah, Chocolate Pug was saying, DT, I was just thinking PC man FM, Alacrity, Xmonad, and Xmobar. Right. Yeah, that's kind of how you go about it. You pick the file manager you want to use, the terminal you want to use. When you install Plasma, it's going to tell you exactly what you want to use. You're going to use Dolphin. You're going to use console with a K, right? Awesome says, hey DT, read my content. Read my comment. Okay. Okay, I just read your comment. And he says, love your content. Keep up the good work. All right, appreciate that. Yeah, we still got a couple of hundred people still hanging out here. I know we've been going for about an hour and a half here. We may go for a few more minutes here, but probably just a few more minutes unless folks have anything super interesting to discuss here. Thoughts on Vim org mode? It's not worth using. It's not really like org mode in Emacs. It is org mode is built into Emacs. Org mode is not some extension in Emacs. Org mode is part of Emacs. So Vim, you installing a org mode plugin, but it's not really. It'll never have that integration. It'll never function like org mode in Emacs. It's not possible, I don't think. Yeah, and the Tonys 4 says NeoVim can do almost everything VS Code does with some plugins. Yeah, I mean, if you install enough plugins, Vim can do anything, right? And obviously, we're talking about Emacs. Emacs literally can do anything, so yeah, why VS Code? Especially if you're going to do VS Code with the Vim key bindings. And why not try out Vim or Emacs with Evil Mode, which has the Vim key bindings? You're going to get probably a better editor in the long run. All right. Yeah. Do you have any crypto? Well, obviously I have crypto because I am on LBRY, so I receive LBCs for donations. That's how content creators are paid over on LBRY. Instead of, running ads and getting paid that way, on LBRY, we are basically dependent on the viewers of our channels donating LBC to us. So if you put out content, though, people donate. I get plenty of LBC over on LBRY. If you guys are not subscribed to distro.tube, go over to LBRY.tv and follow me over on LBRY. Other than that, of course, I get a little bit of BAT from Brave. Some of you guys do donate to me that way through the Brave browser. But I honestly, I don't know too much about crypto. It's not something I'm really interested in. I probably should get into it a little more. Especially being over on LBRY. It seems like half the channels on LBRY are about cryptocurrency. So maybe I should actually start watching some of that content and figure out, a little bit more about blockchain and, things like that. Hey DT, what is a good way to introduce someone to the free software philosophy? I find it pretty hard to express the importance of free software for other people. You can't really... You can let them know what it is, but if they're simply not interested in it, I wouldn't even try to tell somebody what it is unless they specifically asked me about it. Otherwise, it's no point. You're kind of just wasting your time. Somebody, like I was out in public and somebody recognized me and actually wanted to come up to me and ask me, hey, what's this free software you talk about in your videos? Or if I was wearing that Free Software Foundation hoodie, hey, what's the Free Software Foundation? What's that all about? I'll tell them because they asked. They don't ask about it. Then there's no point in telling just somebody about it. Even if they're running Linux, most people that run Linux still don't know really anything about open source software or free software. They don't know the importance of it. And many of them just don't care. So, and you can't make people care about things, right? That's not You have to do the things that are important to you and let other people make their own decisions. Ultimately, though, I think when you make changes in your life, you know, like I'm a stickler as far as I try to run free software where I can. You guys see me doing that on video. I don't think I've ever really demonstrated anything that was proprietary software on this YouTube channel, and people see that and they wonder, why is DT like that? Maybe I need to investigate that, right? It's more about me making the changes in my life that I want to make, and sometimes that spills over across through the camera. You don't have to go and preach to somebody, though. You don't have to, you know, just try to force a message on people. That's never a good idea. What is your keyboard switches? My keyboard switches are the Qtile copper switches. I still have the Ergodox Easy, and they are the Qtile copper switches. They're kind of clicky. They're not really clicky. They have enough noise that you know I'm typing, but they're not annoying, right? Some switches are just too loud, and you start typing fast, and it annoys yourself sometimes on those really loud switches. These aren't that loud. They're not silent, though. I don't like silent switches either. That's a good middle ground. And you were asking, would I want to change? No, I'm happy with them, actually. Do you like Python? I'm starting to code and have chosen Python as a first step. I do like Python. I don't do much with Python that often. I know enough Python that I can read a Python script and kind of figure out what's going on in it, which is a great attribute of Python. Is it's pretty readable. It's a good first language to study, because you can kind of pull up something in Python and figure out what's going on. I mean, I could demonstrate that right now. If I pulled up, we'll just pull up my Qtile config here in Doom Emacs. Of course, this is a literative config because it's the README. Let me actually go to this version of it. So this is just straight Python without all the comments. And even if you really didn't know much about Python, you can kind of figure out this top section. It's importing a bunch of modules, a bunch of libraries to be used later in the script, right? It's not that hard to figure out. Mod equals mod 4. Well, I even commented what it actually does. But even if you didn't know what that is, typically in any kind of scripting language, when you have something equals this, you know, that's just setting a variable. That's so every time I use the word mod in this config, it's really just mod 4. And why is that important? Because not everybody wants to use the super key. Some people want to use the alt key. And if instead of having this line here, everywhere in my key bindings I had key equals super, 100 times, then somebody that wants to use my config and change it to the alt key would have to go change 100 different key bindings from super to alt. Where having it as a variable, all they have to do is just change mod 4, which is super, to mod 1, which is alt. Because again, all these mods were just set to that variable. So that's why those variables are there. Even if you didn't know anything about Python, keys equal, and then this list, that's a list of key bindings. It's not hard to figure out. Group names, again, it's just another list here. Groups, again, another list here, this time for I and names from keyword arguments. So we have a list somewhere of, this list here. We're drawing from it the names of our workspaces, the layouts, the various layouts inside Qtile. Colors, you can see it's colors, and you can do gradients. I'm not doing gradients. I'm setting both colors to be the same, but if I wanted to, I could do gradients with the colors. And these colors are used in the widgets. You see, widget list equals, and then all the different widgets in my panel. Like, it's just not hard. Like, this is pure Python, right? This is not any kind of easy syntax like the i3 syntax, it's kind of designed to be easy. This is just straight Python. But even if you really didn't know Python, you could figure that out. right? A lot of people think this stuff is harder than it is. It's really not. Yeah, Python has an easy syntax. That's why a lot of people start with it. Yeah. It's really easy to figure out what's going on with it. Yeah. And it's really easy if you're working on, like if I script something in Python, I create my own custom Python script to do something on my computer, and I want to share it with you guys. When one of you guys, hey, can I have that Python script? You guys can take it and you guys can read what I did and figure out exactly what I'm doing in that script. Not all languages are like that. I'll give you a great example. I don't know much Perl. I don't really know anything about Perl. But have you ever tried to go read somebody's Perl script and try to figure out what the hell they're doing in it? It's a mess. You know, it can be really hard to figure that stuff out. Where Python, I've never came across a Python script that I didn't know what exactly it was doing. Yeah, your video library lacks a very important one, which is full disk encryption with Lux. Okay, yeah. I don't do encryption, so that's why I don't have a video about it. I understand some of you guys want a video about it, but I don't know. It's you, especially on YouTube. There's so much tech content. Somebody's got a video about that for you guys. Probably there's 100 videos about that if you guys searched for it. Why do I need to do that video, right? Maybe one day I'll get around to it, though. Yeah, Perl is all right. It has awk and grep built in, which is cool, yeah. Oh, that's another great scripting language that is a little challenging to somebody that has never looked at it before. Awk. If you've ever come across like a pure awk script, something written in awk, that's weird. Yeah, any recommendations on free and open source two-factor authentication on Android? Yeah, there is one. I talked about it on one of the episodes of Unfettered Freedom the other day. I can't remember what it is. Let me go to my YouTube channel here. Can't remember what that program was. Give me just a second, guys. I found it here. So it's a program I remember Red Hat created it. Free OTP. That's it. Free OTP. So search for that one. It's a free and open source Google Authenticator alternative, essentially. All right, guys. I'm going to read just a couple more questions and then shut it down. So anybody got anything important to ask, get it in now. All right. Hey DT, I have a laptop. It has NVIDIA graphics card. Can you please make a video talking about how to configure the drivers for a laptop? I don't have an NVIDIA card. I don't have an NVIDIA card on any of my machines, unfortunately. So probably not on that. It'd be kind of hard to talk about that when, really demonstrate it without actually having NVIDIA. So. Anytime you guys ask me stuff, especially stuff that's really dependent on hardware, sometimes I get people asking comments, hey, I've got this specific model of laptop with this specific Wi-Fi chip with the, and it's like, can you make a video about that? It's like, no, because I don't have that machine you just described. It's not the situation here. This is pretty general, but I just happen to not have an NVIDIA card, though. And these days, I'm just doing AMD, all AMD. Everything I have has an AMD CPU and an AMD GPU, so, or it's the built-in AMD graphics on the laptops. Hey DT, have you given any thought to a Proxmox server for your VMs? I've thought about it a little bit, but I'm not sure. These days, I don't play with VMs that much. I mean, I usually just spin up a quick VM just to show you guys a distro, and I don't do that kind of video that often anymore. Maybe one a month, two a month. So, would be interesting just to set up a Proxmox server, but I don't know if it would be something that I'd really have much of a use for once I set it up. You know, it's probably not something I'd use much. All right, guys, well, I'm going to go ahead and shut it down for this evening. I do want to thank all you guys for hanging out with me. It's still a couple of hundred of you guys hanging out here, nearly 2 hours into it. We've been going, what, about an hour and 45? So I do thank you guys for hanging out. I know I didn't give you guys much of a heads up. I tried to put out the notification about 2 hours or so before I started the live streaming. For sure, I don't think I'm going to be able to do any content tomorrow because I've got some life stuff to take care of outside of the house, so I won't be at my computer. I won't be able to record anything. So I will probably be back. I'll probably release something on Thursday. Probably get back to doing the standard pre-recorded content. But I am glad I got a live stream in. I know a lot of you guys get upset that I don't do as much live anymore. It's just, I don't know. Seems like bad things always happen every time I do a live stream. It's like that's the day that we have networking issues, or power issues, or OBS, something in an update messed it up. So pre-recorded content, usually a little safer content for me, but I'll try to do at least a couple of live streams a month. I need to make myself be here for you guys that want it live. Anyway, before I go, I need to thank a few special people. I need to thank Michael, Gabe, Corbinian, Mitchell, Devin, Fran, Arch5530, Akami, Chuck, Claudio, Donnie, Dylan, George, Greg, Kell of Devils, Lewis, Paul, Scott, Willie. These guys, they are the producers of this episode. And I want to thank each and every one of these ladies and gentlemen as well. These are my supporters over on Patreon because this channel is sponsored by you guys, the community. And if you guys would like to support my work, please check out distro.tube over on Patreon. All right, guys. Peace.